I'm Eric Keppie. I am the President and CEO of the National Safety Council Nebraska. It is my honor this morning to be joined by Mayor Gene Stothert, Nebraska State Patrol Major Brenda Confirst, Omaha Police Sergeant Menning, Omaha Assistant Fire Chief McCormick, Papillion Police Officers Officer Whited, Sarpy County Deputy Savoda and Culler, Douglas County Sheriff Deputy Owens, Congressman Don Bacon's Deputy Chief of Staff, Ben Ungerman, Fred Zwanacek from the Department of Transportation, the National Safety Council Board of Directors, our sponsors and our families and our staff. We are here today to introduce our largest and longest running public information campaign called Distracted Driving Affected Me. This campaign is designed to combat the real problem of distracted driving in Nebraska. In 2017, almost 700 drivers, almost 4,700 drivers were involved in a distracted driving crash. That's a 5% increase over 2016 and a 28% increase over 2013. 19 people were killed in distracted driving crashes in 2017. That's nearly double 2016, where there were 10. But in addition to these tragic deaths, we had over 1,500 Nebraska drivers injured in distracted driving crashes. These statistics are staggering. But the concerning truth is, distracted driving statistics are underreported. Our data collection systems have not caught up to our new reality that distracted driving is a growing problem. Now, we don't all need statistics to know that distracted driving is a problem. Just look to your left or your right each time you drive. Drivers are distracted. So what prompted the National Safety Council Nebraska to take on this campaign? First, as a Nebraska-based nonprofit, it is our mission to prevent injuries and save the lives of Nebraskans. But let me share with you a quick personal story. About a year ago on my way to work, I pulled up next to a Jeep Grand Cherokee at the intersection of 96th and Giles. And I looked over, and there was a young lady texting on her phone in the car next to me. And I looked in the back seat, and she had a baby in a car seat. I followed her for almost 2 miles, and not once did she put her cell phone down. I very much wanted to follow her to wherever she was going and ask her one simple question. What is more important, the cell phone in your hand or the baby in the back seat? We all know the right answer to that. I came back to the office. I told Susan Booth, our VP of Business Development, that this organization, needed to do something about this. That something in life is more important than our cell phones. So that was the start of a lot of hard and worthwhile work by our staff and with the support of our sponsors. I would also certainly like to thank our board of directors for allowing us to make this campaign a reality. Without their support and guidance, none of this would be possible. The Distracted Driving Affected Me campaign is created and designed to make people aware that distracted driving has real life consequences, that real lives are impacted by our decision to drive distracted. The statewide campaign will run from September 2018 to August of 2019. It will be featured on television, radio, billboards, social media, public presentations, and will encourage grassroots efforts by all Nebraskans. This campaign features real families that have been affected, their stories, and their messages. I want to take the time now to sincerely thank all of the families that participated in the creation of this campaign. Their participation is the heart of this effort. Thank you to Patty and Tim Wooden, Doug and Sherry Troop, Rob Reynolds, Charlie Endorf, and Pastor Robert Murphy. We sincerely believe that sharing your losses will be the difference in this campaign. I would also like to thank our sponsors. They're up here on the screen here. As a nonprofit, without these companies, we would not have been able to run a campaign of this magnitude. Thank you to all those sponsors that are present today. Now, let's take a moment to view a couple of our PSAs.
Distracted driver impacted us. A semi-truck driver fell asleep at the wheel.
A distracted driver went through the light and ran into our van.
They turned our world upside down.
There's so many things out there that can distract you.
We have to pay attention when we're behind the wheel.
We don't need to respond to everything the instant it happens.
That cell phone isn't worth a life.
Life is more important.
Life is more important.
Life's more important.
Distracted driving affected me.
I was a sophomore. It takes time.
That sucked.
Katie was a normal 16-year-old girl. She had a lot of dreams, a lot of ambitions. She was going into her sophomore year of Marion High School.
Bye.
I love you.
She was one of those people that really wanted to serve in the community. She wanted to get a medical degree. She wanted to serve underprivileged kids. That was her dream. And she did a lot of things that I was very proud of as a parent. And being the oldest of her 5 children, all of her kids really looked up to her. Her smile was contagious. She gave the best hugs. Her friends said that as well. And that's the thing that I missed the most, was just being her dad and watching her interact with other people. She was always an old soul. So the night of the crash, Katie was going to a movie with a friend of hers, and we had given her permission to drive her friend home afterwards. It was about 10:30 at night. Katie was waiting at a red light, and the light turned green. And as it turned green, a car was coming from the opposite direction, and the driver was severely distracted. And the driver went through the red light and hit Katie's car broadside. And she wasn't conscious after that. Her body lived for about another 4 to 6 hours, but she passed early in the morning the next day. And it was one of those things that for us, we panicked when we didn't hear from her, and we knew that she should have been home. We searched for her. We tried calling her cell phone, her friend's cell phone. Finally, a police officer answered and told us that we needed to get to the emergency room. One of the things I was most proud of with Katie, when I took her to the DMV to get her license, and they asked her certain questions, one of them was whether or not she wanted to be an organ donor, and she immediately said yes. And I remember how proud I was standing next to her at that time. And I never thought it would have to come to fruition. And the night of her crash, when it actually did, there was another overwhelming sense of pride that I had about it. And it's still something today that I'm very proud of. The fact that Katie knew that if it ever came down to it, she would still want to help people. So I would encourage everyone to be an organ donor for that reason, because your work can still continue. You can still be part of somebody's life. My wife and I decided that we had to be on the forefront of the issue because we wanted to save at least one other family from having to go through what we've gone through as a family. And maybe through this campaign it'll reach more. When you're talking on your cell phone, just talking, whether it be hands-free or handheld, it doesn't matter, you're 4 times more likely to crash. That's the same impairment as being legally drunk. We need to get serious about what we do in terms of applying the law in these areas. In Nebraska, we have an anti-texting law, but it's a secondary enforcement. And it would be the same as saying, let's let people drive drunk, and unless they're doing something else wrong, we won't pull them over. That's insane. Every driver who's in a car today has a cell phone. And I know that cell phone makes noises. It beeps, it rings, it alerts you to things. It's a total distraction. Put it away. That cell phone isn't worth a life.
Distracted driving affected us.
My favorite memory of Ashley is every morning I'd be like laying in bed and she'd come in, running in my room, waking me up, ready to do a devotional every morning. And we just sit down for like 20 minutes every morning and we just read the word and she'd just teach me more about God and we built our relationship together.
Every day she would come home on the bus. She would just like pull up by a circle, and then me and Christian and my mom would be waiting on the driveway.
And she'd get off and we'd go running to her up over the hill and jump in her arms, and we'd all have like a huge group hug.
She was just a sweetheart. She loved Jesus.
Ashley earned money through babysitting and stuff to go get a watch. She picked out a cross watch at Parables. We took her and two of my boys, and we went to go get it.
On the way out, we were turning at the four-way intersection. The guy ran a red light and hit us.
And I just remember going into the intersection and just seeing out of the corner of my eye, this truck just didn't even stop, didn't even slow down. He actually came about 1.5 feet in our van and rolled us like 2.5 times.
He turned our world upside down.
She hit her head on the window, and she was in a coma for a week. She never came out of a coma.
I just spent the next week by Christian and Ashley, and then my parents took me into a room and had a decision to make. And they decided to take her off the support, and they were going to donate her organs.
It was hard seeing her in the hospital like that. Wish I could have said a couple things to her.
I lost a sister, and I would never be able to get that back again.
We're doing this because people just need to realize they need to stop. When an email comes over your phone or a phone call or a voicemail, leave it there.
Wait on that text or wait when that phone is ringing when you're driving in the car. You look up and all of a sudden it's a red light and you're going through that red light. Well, that can kill someone, and it did. Kill my daughter.
These stories and others can be viewed at our website, ddaffectedme.org. We would encourage individuals, families, community groups, schools, and companies to visit the site, view our videos, download the material, and share their distracted driving stories. Visiting the site will help us grow this campaign and increase its impact. It is now my privilege to present Omaha Mayor Jean Stothert. She and her office have been very supportive of our efforts to save lives by decreasing distracted driving. Mayor.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I certainly don't think any words I could say could compare to the message in those videos, but I did want to thank the National Safety Council Nebraska and your partners for developing this important public safety campaign. Public safety is my top priority and responsibility, and that also includes safety on our roads for everyone. The number tells us that distracted driving is the #1 cause of crashes, but the real story is the individuals and the families that are affected by those numbers and the actions every driver can take to make our roads safer for all of us. Last fall, acting on a recommendation from my Acting Living Advisory Committee, I named a task force to study Vision Zero. Omaha joins a growing number of cities in implementing Vision Zero strategies to reduce and eliminate traffic deaths. Vision Zero is a common sense goal we should all strive for. It will require public education, enforcement, road design changes, and most importantly, personal responsibility. The families featured in the Distracted Driving Affected Me campaign have experienced very personal losses. Their decisions to make their private lives so public tells us all how we can impact others and why we must. Distracted driving is a choice, and it's a bad choice. The phone call and text messages can be answered later. You can post on social media later. You can take a selfie later. Check that news alert later. I urge you all to lead by example, to put your phone in the back seat when you can't reach it, or turn the volume down so you can't hear it. Do it for your safety, for the safety of your passengers, and the safety of everyone that you share the road with. Several representatives of our Vision Zero Task Force are here today, and I thank them for volunteering their time and their expertise. The Omaha Police and Fire Departments, our Public Works Department and Law Department also support the work of our task force. I expect to receive their recommendations in early to mid-2019, and the goal is 0 traffic fatalities, but even if one life is saved, it will be a worthwhile endeavor. Life is much more important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Stothert. It's also my honor to introduce Ben Ungerman. Mr. Ungerman is Congressman Don Bacon's Assistant Chief of Staff. Congressman Bacon was unable to attend today, but he wanted to share a few of his words. Ben?
Thank you all for being here, and thanks for this opportunity. The Congressman did extend his regrets that he couldn't be here as he's heading back to Washington this morning for legislative matters. He did send me with a letter and asked me to read it on his behalf. Fellow Nebraskans and attendees, please accept my apology that I cannot attend this event with all of you today, as I'm required to be in Washington to work on important legislative matters. I'm pleased to hear about the great initiatives and events that you're working to increase public awareness of the alarming statistics about distracted driving. Hearing that more than 3,400 people were killed and over 390,000 people were injured as a result of distracted driving in 2015 alone was very disheartening and should cause anyone to take greater notice of this issue. To complement your efforts, I recently took action at the federal level to increase awareness and help mitigate this critical issue by co-sponsoring House Resolution 593. H.R. 593 is a bipartisan measure designed to raise awareness about the dangers of distracted driving on a national level through education and advocacy programs, as well as seeking stronger enforcement of distracted driving laws. Thank you all again for your time today, for being here, for the hard work that you put in every day to combat this problem and reduce the number of injuries and deaths that result from distracted driving. Thanks to all of your great work, we will make a difference in ending this problem and increasing the safety on our streets. Sincerely, Don Bacon, Congressman, 2nd Congressional District of Nebraska. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again to Ben, to Congressman Bacon for supporting our distracted driving efforts. Last but not least, I would like to share just a few more specifics about the campaign. As I mentioned, this is a year-long, multimedia campaign that will span the entire state of Nebraska. We are asking for the help of anyone who is affected by distracted driver. This obviously includes those who lost a loved one, but it also includes those who were injured and those who are inconvenienced by having to have their vehicle repaired. It includes those who have been part of or witnessed a near miss. It includes all of us. Visit our website, ddaffectedme.org, and order a window cling, like this one here, a lapel pin, like the one on my jacket. Download posters and other materials to share at your place of business. It's important that we get the message out and in front of others, because life is more important. Please take some of our materials here with you today, pass it on. Together, we believe that we can make a difference. I'd like to invite you to join us in the parking lot along with the families that are here today. We have a few balloons here that we'll be releasing in remembrance of those that we have lost. Thank you again for joining us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to speak to Susan or I. And remember, life is more important. Drive safe. Thank you.